Hey guys, it's your girl Jaylah here on Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura on another episode. And we are bringing you, like we always do, some of the best and up and coming new founders and startups in the area. And today we have our special guest, Estrella Quiroz. How are you, Estrella?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I love your energy. I love what you're all about, and this is so cool.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. I've been talking to a couple of my business partners, and they mentioned how amazing you are. And I was like, don't tell me anything more. I want to hear it from her. I want to hear it during our time. So
uh,
tell me, we're going to start off. So you're going to tell me about yourself and a little bit about your background, and then we'll go from there.
yeah, sounds great. So I'm a first generation Nicaraguan-American. My parents were immigrants. I grew up in Texas and landed here in Miami, and that's where my whole life changed. I would say a bit about myself. A bit of my story starts when I would say, 17. My dad got deported back to Nicaragua. And when I was 18, he passed away unexpectedly. So the first time I ever got on an international flight was to go to his funeral. My classmates had raised money so I could go back, and I went alone. It was genuine and the most life-changing experiences because not only did I get to meet all this family I had in Nicaragua and see a beautiful country, but I also got to say goodbye to my dad. And it was a huge wake-up call for me. So from there, I was inspired to just maximize life. I was like, okay, I need to make more time for people, more time for conversations. And I went to university. I had gotten a full ride, and I was like, I'm going to sign up for the first study abroad program. So I went and I came back. I loved it so much. I changed my major to tourism, and I kept studying abroad and backpacking within those next few years. So by the time I graduated university, I had gone from seeing one country to seeing 40 countries in the span of 3 years, thanks to all the school resources. So I would say that's where my love of life, of culture, of travel, and of strangers has come from. So definitely, I call myself a life enthusiast. I call myself a life enthusiast, and I've just made it my mission to do as much good as I can. I love to dance. I love ice baths, and now I'm on this mission, to build a deaf tech startup, which is also inspired by my dad's last voicemail that he left me. So I can get into that part and get into the company part, but that's just a bit about me. Oh, do I keep going? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. um,
I was saying that it, it's hard that as we get older now too, you start thinking about those things more and more, whether you have your parents or a loved one, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, somebody who raised you around. Um, and I know how impactful that could be. So how did that lead to you founding your company, Last Farewells?
Yeah, absolutely. So when my dad passed away, a few days before he passed away, it was my 18th birthday. And at the time, we had a rocky relationship. So I was a bit mad at him. So I saw him calling me 3 times, and I look at my phone and I declined it 3 times. And so a few days later, it just blew my mind when I found out that he had passed away, and it was super unexpected. So as I'm going through my phone, I'm looking at the voicemails, and I saw that he left me 3 voicemails. And in 2 of them, he's singing me happy birthday. And then the third one, he's telling me, Estrella, I hope a million girls look after you. I love you so much. Things are going to change soon. You'll see. Bye. And so that was just so shocking to me because I had never heard him say words like that. And since he didn't know he was passed away, it truly felt like a miracle to me. And it gave me so much comfort. I felt like though we had a rocky relationship, I just knew until that last day, my dad really, really loved me. And so it helped a lot with my personal peace and my personal grief. And then years later, because I did all of the traveling, I was able to get an internship at a company called goabroad.com, where the CEO had this idea called Last Farewells. And so when he heard my story, he's like, wow, that's exactly what we're trying to build. Last Farewells, a way for people to create last messages that are delivered after they pass away. So a few years later, we reconnected back on this idea, and he invited me to become his co-founder. He had this idea since the 1980s. So now I like to joke, you were just waiting for me to be born. And so I like to say, I have this story, and this is something I'm super passionate about because I'm a recipient of an unexpected last message. And I just know that in those moments, in those hard moments when someone loses someone, whether it's expected because they're sick or unexpected, all we want is their comfort. All we want is their voice. And the thing in our community is, or at least like here in underserved communities, Black and brown folks. A lot of people don't do end of life planning because they don't think that they have anything to offer. They don't think they have enough for a will. They don't think they have enough for an estate plan. But what they do have enough that's free is their words. And so I like to label last farewells as one of the greatest gifts you can leave behind, because anyone can do it. You know, your parents, like anybody can leave a message just in case, just as if it was like life insurance. This is something that you would do just in case. So that's how I got started last farewells, through my dad's last voicemail, but also through, you know, my co-founder, who used to be my CEO, that, you know, allowed me to come on board and just reimagine his whole idea and to make it something more modern, more focused on storytelling. And our vision is ultimately to get this in 100+ languages worldwide, because our background is tourism, international education. So the one thing that we've seen around the world is death and grief are the commonality that the world shares. And honestly,
Yeah.
there's not enough platforms working on the end of life at the moment.
So how does this live with you for like, because the point of this is to kind of have the voicemail or like the voice note live with you, correct?
Yeah. So it's something that if you were going to, if someone, say someone passes away, you'll receive an email notification. It'll say what is last farewells, and it'll say that this person has left you a last message, and it's up to you if you want to open it. So if you do accept, you click open, you create an account, you accept terms and conditions, and then it's there for you to view. And it's also something you can save and download, and also do so many things with it. There's so much power in personalization. So a lot of people put voice messages in Build-A-Bears, or get the writings and do it as tattoos, things that like have already been around, or some that your loved one might have already left around. Now this is kind of a way for more intentional words that are left behind, rather than you trying to like go through your phone and see, oh, what was that last text message? What was that thing they told me once, like a long time ago? Like, these are intentional last messages that were made specifically for after your passing.
I don't have any tattoos personally, even though I do want some. But
Yeah.
my very Central American mother is absolutely a no on that one. But I always found it, especially those voice notes with audio, because you
Yeah.
can actually audio tattoo on you and play it
Yeah.
back on your phone whenever. So you tattoo it, and I think that's so cool. I think that's such a. Do you think that at some point Last Farewells will take over as a source legally, to say people leave like messages with like a verbal will?
Yeah. So so our game plan right now, we're solely focused on emotional end of life planning, just because we believe it's a huge gap that's underserved. But what we do want to obviously eventually do is streamline this to the rest of the process. We have great partners in the legal space, in the estate planning space, in the financial space. So that is the goal, that Last Farewells can become a hub for streamlining the entire process end to end. And right now, what we've seen is that it's very attractive for people who, one, have already done all those other processes. They already have life insurance. They already have the estate plan. This is that one thing that's kind of missing, that they didn't know either was possible, they didn't know could exist, or they didn't know they probably could do. One of the problems that we see is that, you know, you can have all these things prepared, but at the end of the day, when you pass away, your loved ones are stuck with all this paperwork, and all they want is really to hear from you on the birthdays, on the anniversaries, on the big
Yeah.
milestones that you're not going to be there for. So this is kind of a way to compensate. Like, yeah, there's paper. Don't leave them behind with just paperwork. And on the other end, you have people who've never done end of life planning, who would never even think to start. But this is a really good entry point to showing them, like, hey, you can leave something behind. And then, oh, did you know it's only this much to like create a will? Oh, it's not actually that expensive to, you know, do a financial advisory, like do it for your loved one. So I think it's going to become a really great educational awareness tool as well, because it's going to show people that there's not as many barriers to end of life planning as they think, to get started. And some of these are going to be the most impactful messages. Like look at mine. My last message is something that gave me a lot of comfort, but it also inspired me to go see the world. It inspired me to live life. It inspired me to tell people I love them more, and to call up people that randomly and be like, hey, you know, it inspired me to start a tech startup. I never thought I'd be in the end of life space
Yeah.
in my life. But, you know, these messages have that power. And when you have a last message, specific to you. For example, if you have a last message from your mother and she's saying, hey, keep going, go start this huge show, go travel abroad, go live your dreams, like you're more likely to listen and want to live your life inspired by the words they say as well.
Well, it's hard when you, unfortunately, like you said, family gets all the paperwork, all the bills, all the money, all the last minute running around. And you're right. Sometimes there is a level of comfort and empathy that is wanted through that process. And seeing something like this, and I can also see it, like you said, as the entry point, because especially for the brown and black community, I feel like it's like going to the doctor. Like they refuse to go to the doctor. They refuse to do end of life planning. It's like almost this feeling of invincibility. And then God forbid something does happen and it's like, boom, like, who's left with that task at the end of the day? And most of the time it's the kids, it's the kids' family members and all of that. So I love how this brings in a more personal feel.
Yeah, and it's something that definitely, like, when we think about our marketing strategy, we're going to tell, hey, you should create this because, but at the end of the day, it's going to be easier for us to get your loved ones. If you have kids, if you have siblings, if you have a partner, committing them, like, you should get your loved one on board because it's so much easier for us to imagine the death of our loved ones rather than our own deaths. So imagine if you, like, I could tell you, yeah, you should ask for, like, yeah, that's a nice thought. But if you have, someone that loves you and they're like telling you, like, no, you need to, or even sits you down and is like, no, you need to create this, then you're more likely to do it. For example, like before I ever created my own last messages, I made my mom and my grandma sit down and create their last messages for me and for my siblings. There's always going to be one person in the family that kind of just like spearheads everything as well. Kind of maybe the person that plans vacations, or maybe the person, that just is always like on top of it. But it's something that, like, it's more like my grandma made a video for my future wedding because she's 93 and I don't know when I'm getting married. So she may not be there in case she's not. This wedding, this video is. And so those are just things I think, like, what would I want from someone? And I see it a lot in some other end of life gifts. Like, you can get a book with someone's life story in it, but the person who's like pushing their loved one to get the book is the person who wants the book. So this is kind of like a similar idea.
I love the fact that it gives it a different feel. Do you guys also like have some type of like verbiage or timeline or like kind of outline or flow that would help? Because I know this is probably not easy. You're not going to go in there thinking, hey, I'm going to die tomorrow, let me leave my daughter a message. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you go in there scared. You're like, this is new, this is scary to even think about, but like, I know I want to leave something. So it's like, is there scripts? Is there like different categories? Like, can you leave something, like if I were to leave something for my daughter, she's 10 years old. So I know she has her like graduation ahead of her. She has prom. She has, different life goals that I'd like to see her accomplish, but I'd like, God forbid I wasn't here. And especially now I've been sick, this is something I actually have to think about,
Absolutely. Well, yes. So we make it like as easy as possible. So you log in, there's a dashboard, and then there's two things you can create. There's last messages and a memorial page. So for the last messages, it walks you through it. Well, who's this person for? You click a recipient, and then when do you want it scheduled? So you can pick upon 3 occasions. So one is upon death. So this person would receive this message immediately upon death, and it'd be like, hey, if you're watching this, I know, you're not here, or I'm not here anymore, but just know that I love you, stay strong, all these things you could say. The second one is a specific day. So you can have it scheduled for, if May 8th is really important to you, or August 1st is super important for you, you can have it scheduled for a specific day for it to be delivered. And the third, special milestone. So this is exactly what you were saying about prom, graduation, a wedding. You can schedule and you can customize your own. So you can create any occasion, a first house, your first child. There's all these things that you can create. And where Last Farewells, I think, our strength is the idea that you don't have to leave one really long message, because I think that's where people think they freeze up. Like, you're just going to leave a whole message and it has to be super long. My dad's message was 15 seconds, and 15 seconds was all it took for impact my life greatly because I heard words that I just really needed to hear from him. So this is a concept of a micro message. The videos that you leave behind are up to 2 minutes. And if you have a premium, you can leave longer, but they're meant to be small messages, and even like a happy birthday message will go a long way. So if at times you don't know where to start, I like to suggest that people start with these special occasion ones, because you may not know what to say upon your death, but you will know what to say for a birthday. Well, hey, happy birthday to them. So all these things. So that's the way we make it easier. And we do have some templates that we can suggest. We are very mindful of not wanting to put words into people's mouth, because we want it to be, come from them and genuine, but we still want to give them ideas on what milestones they can create. So in the future, that's how we'll be able to incorporate AI with the onboarding process of just, oh, this is your sister you're creating a message for, and this is their age. And then these are all the potential templates. This is that you could, or milestones that you could create, or helping that person. If you've seen the movie P.S. I Love You, this is a very similar concept where she receives messages for different occasions. So you can create micro messages for one person, like various people. And what I love about Last Farewells too is it's not just for your immediate family, which is normally what we see wills and estate plans, but you can also create it for your best friends who are also going to struggle without you, or your cousins or your siblings, or people who just normally wouldn't hear from you. Like even like if you go to church, people there, or if you're in part of a networking group, the people there. Sometimes we kind of overlook how many people will grieve us. And it's just nice to know that, or your coworkers too, like leaving them behind small messages. So I think the power of a micro message is very powerful, because it entails this 20-minute, 30-minute video of just a long list of goodbyes for everyone, and trying to cram everything into one message.
That's beautiful. Where do you see Last Farewells in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, so I really think Last Rose is going to be special because of media. So when I think about end of life planning, I think a lot of people don't like to touch it because it's hard to relate to sometimes, or maybe it's just a lot of PTSD and like you just don't want to think about grief or death. What my differentiation is definitely is trying to incorporate more lively storytelling. And what I mean by that is, for example, I had a I had a person reach out last year. They were 38 with terminal cancer. They wanted the test, but instead of doing that, I actually flew to them in Texas. I created this whole experience with their favorite foods, their favorite coffee. We did the messages, we did a meditation. Then I did a celebration at the end of it with their favorite cake, and I surprised them with their bucket list. They wanted to see a space rocket launch. And so then I got the NASA Space Center to sponsor this experience for them. And so it became then this experience became like a 1.5 minute, 90-second video, but it's a feel good video. And so I think those are different ways that we can storytell. And actually that person, now that they passed away. And so now we're actually in the process of delivering these last messages. So I think what I'm trying to do in the next 5 years is really focus on this media component. Because before we even launched our platform, we released this thing called the Last Message series, which is examples of last messages being delivered after your passing, in TV and movies, in real life, that I saw on my algorithm. And now we have over 24 million views organically of people who have watched Last Message. So I think there's a huge curiosity when someone passes away. Oh, what did they say? So I want Last Farewells to be the source of, oh, did they leave a last farewell? Almost like an automatic thing, like, oh, this person passed away. Did they leave a message? We see it here and now, like people do it on their own, but I want Last Farewells to be the platform for that. Not only is it a platform to create the last messages, but now we're sharing these last messages. And so one feature I didn't mention earlier, but you can create a last message, or you can create a memorial page. And the memorial page is different than any memorial page you've seen out there, because it's something that the person created before they passed away. So it has their self-obituary, their last photo album, their last music playlist, their last bucket list, and a last public message, which is a 2-minute video message where a 2-minute video.
No worries.
Yeah. The last public message is the last public message is a 2-minute video message, which is their goodbye to everyone. So this is something where they're saying, hey, if you're watching this, I want you to remember this and this. And so that's the memorial page. And to me, I think it's going to be a really strong feature, because you just kind of are curious. What did that person say? Or what were their thoughts? So yeah, in the next 5 years, I hope we've scaled at least to the 50 countries, if not the 100 countries, because I know this is going to be very powerful in in places like Africa, where 93% of people have funeral insurance, or places like Asia, where people are in more multi-generational households, so death is more accepted or imminent, or people are planning for their elderly. That's the biggest game plan, is just making sure that even though this is in theory a simple concept, it's not scalable worldwide for everybody to leave it behind in their own languages. And then back to this media component, I really do see this as a really great source of storytelling for how do you get people engaged in a story without necessarily overwhelming them with the death and grief and like all the things going on in the world, but wrap it into this feel-good story, or the story that inspires them that life is short and that they should go follow their dreams. I think that's my really goal for anybody, is like, we're talking about death. We're really talking about life? Because I saw one person create a message and they weren't talking to their daughter. And so the first message they created was for their daughter. And then now, she hasn't passed away, but now she's talking to her daughter again. So I think it's a powerful tool to actually also like kind of like reassess where you're currently at and think like, well, am I talking to the people I should be talking to? Am I in the job that I want to be? Am I doing what I really want to do? So, yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. What is the best way for venture capitalists, anybody who wants to support either monetarily or be a part of it? How can they get in contact with you at Last Farewells?
Yeah, absolutely. So for any VCs or angels or family funds out there, we are currently raising. So Estrella at lastfarewells.com or info@lastfarewells.com would be the best way. There's so much more to our business opportunity that I didn't share in this, but I'd love to dive deeper through reviewing your tech. And then for anybody else who's just curious about creating a last message or getting this started, our Instagram is at Last Farewells app. That's where we're going to be showcasing some of the stories. I'm also showcasing the founder journey on my personal Instagram at Estrella Q95. So either of those work, but just really excited to keep building our community and keep helping people find peace and make sure also that there's no words left unspoken by anyone anywhere.
Thank you so much, Estrella, for being with us. And I am looking forward to what's to come. I definitely would love to help you spread the word on this. I think it's really important, for our families, especially our older generations, as we're evolving as a generation. I think it's important to have our old generation still have a voice. So I definitely think that this is a beautiful thing. And I want to thank you for working so hard and taking, your life grief and experiences and turning it into something magical and beautiful for others.
Well, thank you so much for listening and for summarizing that so well. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's been another episode of Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura. It's your girl, Jaylah. I'll see you next time. Bye.